Hello and a very warm welcome back to Badminton Weekly with me, Jasmine Lim. All eyes were of course on Paris last week as the European leg continued at the Yonex French Open, the second Super 750 of the calendar. But perhaps as importantly, the test event for the Olympics come July. I had the privilege of touring the Porte de la Chapelle arena before the tournament began, and of course we'll share it all here, but that's for later in the show. For now, let me introduce you to our expert of the week. It's none other than former Danish player Hans Christian Vittinghus. Welcome back to the show, Hans.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, for having me again.
Now, before we look at the winners in Paris, there were quite a number of surprising early exits, but arguably the biggest of them all was Viktor Axelsen's in the second round. How surprised were you by that, Hans?
I was very surprised to be honest, because I know Viktor has had quite a good period of training now. We all know that he struggled with his foot injury at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, but he also said himself in the interview after the match that he's actually been having a really good period in terms of training. So he was, I think, as surprised as we all were. We didn't really see this one coming, but I think the next couple of months are going to be very important, and I'm very eager to see how he performs at the All England if he gets back on track, because we have to admit it's been quite a while now where he's not really been on the same sort of form as we been accustomed to see from him. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how it affects him in the next few events, and if we still see his form go a bit up and down as we've been seeing lately, then it might even affect him at the Olympics.
One player whose form has consistently been at the top is Shi Yu Qi, and he doesn't look like he's slowing down after making his way to a third straight final. Now, before we discuss his final against Konlavert Vititsan, let's talk about the Thai player. Now, this is Vititsan's first final since the World Championships. Do you think he's getting back to his best form and regaining some confidence here, Hans?
I think it began to look like that when you followed him through the tournament. I actually think in the first match when you played Brian Yang, which he also won very tight, that he didn't look like a very confident player. But where I did see a big difference compared to the early tournaments is that to me he looked like a guy who was in a better shape physically than he has been before. As the tournament went on, it was kind of like he grew in confidence, and when he played against Lakshya Sen, I was really impressed with how he just kept to his game plan, because Lakshya really played well in that first game. He really needed to be confident in that match to stick to the game plan and not divert into trying something different.
Unfortunately, Vititsan couldn't match Shi's strong performance. But what do you think has been the main reason behind Shi's current form? And also, should Axelsen be worried about Shi catching up in the rankings?
Yeah, for me it's two things. First of all, he plays at an insane pace. Like, he plays at such a high pace all the time. Even when he's in defense, he's still playing fast. When he's playing offense, he's just like, he keeps on adding the pressure all the time. And then his consistency in this tournament and all his matches is just insanely impressive. When he played the semi-final against Chico Badoyo from Indonesia, Chico was hitting the most outrageous winners left and right, but Shi Yu Qi just didn't care, because he knew that his level consistently would just be there throughout the match. So I think his consistency and the pace he's playing at is probably the best in the world right now. So I think it's a very open question right now, actually, if Viktor is the best player in the world or if it's actually Shi Yu Qi, the way he's playing at the moment. If you had said that 3 or 4 months ago, I think everyone would have thought you were crazy. So it's really impressive to see how he has taken his level from being very good and like in the range of 2 to 5 in the world, Shi Yu Qi, to be very close to number 1 and being a real contender for Viktor's top seeding spot at the Olympics.
Just like Shi, Savisairak Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty also made it to their third finals in a row. The world number ones fell short in their previous 2 finals, but this time round against Chinese Taipei's Li Jiehui and Yang Po Swan, they had no problems at all, did they?
Yeah, really. Yeah, it was impressive, and it was such a fast final. Like, the rallies were pretty short because the way they play, Rankireddy and Shetty, they just dominate from the serve or from the return straight off. So they don't really invite the long rallies. It was a very dominant performance, and not only in the final. I also think the semi-final against Kang and Seo was extremely impressive. they look like a pair that was in complete control. One other big strength they have is that it's actually not bad for them if it's Shetty in the back, even though for me he's the front court player and Ranky Reddy with the big smash at the back court player. But when Shetty is back, his smash is still so powerful, so it doesn't really matter much. They can play front and back, both of them, and that makes it very difficult to ever really get out of defense if you're first in defense against them. They can just keep on attacking with so much power, and I would actually also say quite a lot of variation, because they can both attack pretty steep as well.
Over in the women's singles category, we had the familiar pairing of An Se-young and Akane Yamaguchi back fighting for the title. This time round, it was An who got the upper hand, winning her second title of the year. But movement and fitness-wise, would you say that she's back at the optimal level?
The main thing for An Se-young in this tournament was that she looked to be moving a lot more freely compared to the last few tournaments we saw her play. When she won Malaysia Open, for example, I felt like she was moving at 80 or 90%, which is very worrying for all her competitors, because they weren't even able to beat her when she was moving at 80 or 90%. So how are they going to do it at 100% if she gets back to that? But I felt like it was almost getting better and better for her during this tournament, and that's also what I feel like with Yamaguchi, that as the final went on, she found it increasingly difficult to actually score the points, hit the winners. She was really struggling with scoring enough, and you can't really just live off An Se-young's mistakes, because she's not going to give you a lot of easy ones. So I'm still very worried when I see her play, because she still has very tight and heavy strapping on her knee. I don't like to see it. She's only 21, so she can probably play with quite a bit of pain, but she for sure looked like she was playing with less pain and moving more freely, and I think that was maybe the most important thing for her, actually, because obviously she has bigger goals this year than winning another 750 tournaments. She's won so many now, and even All England next week. I'm sure that's very important for her, but it is Olympics that it's all about this year for her, and looking ahead to that, I think it's very important for her to feel that her body is getting better and better.
Now, as mentioned, the Yonex French Open was the test event for the Paris 2024 Olympics, with it being held at the newly constructed Porte de la Chapelle Arena. I was lucky enough to travel all the way there last week to attend a tour of it, and I've got to say, it's definitely a venue fit for a prestigious stage like the Olympics. Bonjour, welcome to Paris. I'm in front of the Adidas Arena, where the Paris Olympics will take place shortly. This newly opened arena boasts a 2-hectare multi-purpose event hall and is the only site constructed within the city limits for the upcoming games. As this will be home for the badminton world during the Olympics, the French Open will serve as a test event before the games. So come with me as we take a look at the place. This is where the players warm up before they go on court. Players during the French Open had a chance to test out the lighting, airflow and athletes area for the very first time. During the Olympics, the court's direction will be changed and the lighting adjusted thanks to their feedback. We're at the main hall where all the action takes place. Right now, there are 4 courts for the French Open, but for the games, there will be 3 courts to make room for the mixed zone. For the Paralympics, there will be 2 courts for wheelchair players and 2 courts for standing players on wooden floors. Welcome to the mixed zone, where players talk to the media post-game. This area here is just one part of it, as the zone will be expanded for the Olympics, starting with the courtside areas to this area here to the VIP lounge behind me. These are the practice courts for the players. There are 6 in total, and the configuration will remain the same for the Olympics. For the Paralympics, this will be both the practice courts as well as the warm-up courts for standing players. As the first accessibility-friendly venue in France, the Adidas Arena is clearly a project special to the city of Paris. Now, the keys for the stadium will be handed over to the organizing committee on 15th of June, and the venue will be ready to welcome athletes come 20th July. But I'm not the only one excited about the space. Here's what the players have to say about the arena and its playing conditions.
I think it's a good condition. There is a slight bit of drift, but I think not too much that it hampers the side. But I think it's a really good stadium, and I enjoy playing it here.
其实这个馆我觉得还是很大，所以有些时候会容易打不准。但是呢，我觉得现在还是会有一点点风向的影响吧，但是不是特别大，所以我觉得是可以控制的一个一个比较好的场地，比较好控制，也可以控制。
そうですね。自分的には結構いい体育館でしっかりと見えて、非常にやりやすくて、なんかこう。コートだけスポットライトが当たるので非常になんかやってて楽しいです。
The European leg continues to the prestigious Yonex All England Open Badminton Championships. Now this will be the last Super 1000 before the race to Paris concludes. Both Lee Zizia and Kodai Naraoka will be looking to bounce back from their first round defeat in Paris, where Naraoka mentioned he was trying to play a more attacking game. That unfortunately didn't work out too well for him, and now the Japanese intends to return back to his usual defensive play at the All England. How will that play out against Lee?
It's an exciting matchup because of their contrasting styles. I think, as you said, Naoka, he will go back to his more defensive style, which I think is also the wise choice for him. I think it's a little bit late in the qualifying process to try and change his game style. Not saying that his attack is not good, but if you compare him to Vishijia, it's the complete opposite. Like, he's trying to hit winners all over the place. He's never really trying to just rally anyone. We know from the past he can really perform in that arena. He can really play well. So I think it's a matchup to be excited about. It's also a matchup where if they both come in like maybe with a little bit low in confidence, I'm not sure we can expect them to just deliver fireworks from the start, but we can hope for it, and it's definitely a possibility.
Hans, who else do you think needs a good run here to push their chances of getting a spot at the Games? We know the race is intense across all 5 categories, but who do you personally have your eyes on?
Yeah, I think one pair that really needs to do it is Fikri and Maulana from Indonesia. Right now they're sitting, I think it's 10th in the Olympic race. This is the final chance to score some really huge points, unless you're gonna win some of the other remaining tournaments. But at All England you can make do with like a semi-final, then you're still scoring a lot, or even a quarterfinal. So that's one of the pairs that I would really be looking at. Another player I think really needs to still score some points is Lakshya Sen. He just proved that he's in great shape. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can now follow up on the performance that he delivered here in France, and if he can, then he will be favourite to also qualify.
Finally, All England aside, Marcus Gideon announced his retirement earlier last week, and players as well as fans around the world have been paying tribute to his contributions to the sport ever since. Hans, you were on tour while he was as well. How would you describe him as a player on and off the courts?
Just from meeting him off court, recording an episode of the Badminton Experience with him, and just meeting him in the warm-up hall and stuff like that, you always get this feeling that he's such a smiling, friendly and open guy. I think we're all gonna miss him. We're all gonna miss the minions, as they were called by all the fans. They were so entertaining to watch. Even if you were supporting the opponents or them, you would always just be entertained if you were watching them play, and we're gonna miss that for sure.
Thanks so much for sharing, Hans, and of course, thank you for setting up the All England Open so nicely for us as well. Now, as always, it has been a real pleasure, and we hope to have you again on the show real soon.
Thank you. I'll be happy to be back again.
Now, don't forget to catch all the action from Birmingham from the 12th to the 17th of March. And if that's not enough action for you, you can also catch the Orleans Masters Badminton presented by Victor happening at the same time. If you guys are on the go, you can always catch the latest news, match updates, highlights, and analysis on the BWF app Badminton for you. And before we go, do share your favorite moments of Marcus Gideon on our Facebook and YouTube pages. I'll leave you guys with what current world number ones Rankareddy and Shetty has to say about the retired minion. So until next week, everyone, take care and goodbye.
Obviously, we hated playing against them. We never really were able. We came quite close to beat them, but he has a really long career to look back to. He's had a phenomenal career, and I wish him the best for his future endeavors.
Happy retirement, Gideon.